When you look at history's most successful individuals, titans like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, they all seem to share this one defining, almost mysterious trait. It's a timeless truth that dictates the entire trajectory of a human life, and that is, a person's greatness is determined entirely by their thoughts. Welcome to our explainer. Today we're unfolding a story about human potential. We're going to look at the profound power of our mindset, and how one single, echoing realization can literally rewrite the script of an entire life.
Let's dive right into this profound truth with a quote from Napoleon Hill. What you think about, you become. Now, it sounds simple, right? But if our thoughts literally shape our reality, why do so many people struggle to succeed? Do they just fail to see their own potential? Well, let's explore the answers to these haunting questions through a story that unfolds in the shadows of a busy railway station.
Part 1. The Inciting Incident. A Fateful Encounter in the Dark.
Picture this. Every day, a beggar sits in the shadows of a grimy railway platform, surviving entirely on the pity of passing travelers. He exists in a state of constant taking. But one evening, through the rush of the crowd, he spots a confident, well-dressed businessman stepping onto the platform. Seeing the expensive suit and that undeniable posture of success, the beggar's mind immediately races. He thinks, okay, this man is rich. If I ask him for money, he's going to give me a generous amount. So he steps out of the shadows, approaches the wealthy man, and stretches out a weathered hand. But instead of reaching into his pocket for a coin, the businessman stops. He looks down, his gaze piercing right through the beggar, and he asks, "Do you always just take from others? Have you ever given anything to anyone?"
Startled by this totally unexpected confrontation, the beggar can only mutter, "Sir, I am just a beggar. I survive by asking for alms. I have nothing to give." I want you to just think about the crushing weight of that statement, the sheer feeling of utter worthlessness. He truly believed he possessed absolutely nothing of value in this world.
The businessman just smiled slightly and calmly outlined his reality, the businessman's principle. He said, "If you believe you have nothing to give, then you also have no right to ask for anything. I am a businessman. I believe in exchange. If you can offer me something, I can give you something in return. But if you have nothing to give, I cannot give you anything either." And with that cold, hard truth, the businessman turned, stepped on his train, and completely disappeared into the shadows, leaving the beggar standing there, frozen on the platform.
Part 2. The Abyss. A harsh truth. The beggar was stunned, plunged into this deep internal crisis, where the businessman's words just kept echoing in the dark. If you want to receive, you must first give.
And so, the grueling passage of time set in. Day 1 was consumed entirely by stunned reflection. Day 2 brought sleepless contemplation. He didn't even beg, he was just too busy wrestling with the whole concept. But then came Day 3, and a vibrant discovery. Sitting near the dirty tracks, his eyes were suddenly drawn to a patch of blooming wildflowers. Their vivid colors just cut right through the gray of the station. And in that exact moment, a spark ignited in the dark. He decided to put the businessman's principle to the test. First, he gently plucked a handful of those wild flowers. When he returned to his spot, instead of just putting his hand out like usual, he smiled and offered a flower to anyone who approached. He received alms, sure, but this time it was an exchange. And suddenly something incredible happened. People accepted the flowers with absolute joy. They smiled back at him, they thanked him, and the donations, they actually began to pour in. A clear pattern was emerging here. Operating in a state of pure taking yielded very little. He barely scraped by. But offering in exchange, that encouraged generous giving. As long as he had flowers to exchange, people gave generously. But when he ran out of flowers, the donations dried up. The data was undeniable. Human beings inherently love to receive something in return.
Then, a breakthrough. Pushing through the crowd, he spots the very same businessman sitting on a train. Heart racing, he rushes over. "Sir, today I have something to give you. If you give me money, I will give you flowers in return." The businessman smiled, handed him some cash, took the flowers, and delivered a totally life-altering truth. "You have truly understood the value of exchange. Today you are no longer just a beggar, you have become a businessman."
You guys, this was a massive internal shift. As the train rolled away, those words sparked an absolute fire in his mind. Am I really a businessman? He pondered it, and then the ultimate epiphany hit him. He wasn't begging out of pity anymore. He was providing a product that people gladly paid for. He was a trader. He had a business.
That realization completely shattered his old reality, and he made a bold, dramatic decision right there on the spot. He left the railway station, turned his back on the shadows, and discarded his old identity forever. He was never going to return as a beggar again.
Part 3. 6 months later. A stunning reunion.
Fast forward. Under the bright sun of a golden hour, two well-dressed men shake hands on that exact same railway platform. The businessman frowns, looking closely at the other guy. "Do I know you?" he asks. The other man smiles warmly. "Yes, we've met twice before, right here on this very train." The businessman's eyes widen in absolute astonishment as he finally recognizes the former beggar. The man laughs and says, "Yes, that was me. But today, I run a successful flower business and I am traveling to expand it." 6 months. It took only 6 short months for a man to go from sitting in the dirt with his hand out to wearing a suit and expanding a corporate enterprise.
Astonished, the businessman asked, "What changed?" The flower seller smiled at the man who had essentially saved his life. "You taught me one of life's greatest truths. We only receive when we give." That day I realized I was a businessman all along. I just had to see myself that way. The greatness was always inside him. He just had to change his thoughts to unlock it. As those two men boarded their trains as equals heading toward their bright futures, they leave us with some profound, universal truths. First, we only receive when we give. That is the fundamental law of exchange. Second, life is shaped entirely by how we see ourselves. Believing you are small is a self-imposed prison that actually keeps you small. And finally, change your thoughts and you literally change your future. You have inner greatness, but you absolutely must recognize it to achieve it. Which leaves us with the only question that truly matters now, a question that should echo in your mind long after this explainer ends. How do you see yourself?